So, Hare Krishna devotees. So, today we are going to start the 13th chapter. So, we are going to be in the last 6 chapters, right? So, the entire Bhagavad Gita is bhakti only, but actually specific bhakti, right, is sandwiched in between. So, the first 6 spoke about karma, right? And the last 6 is jnana. Why? Jnana gives us the knowledge to help us to achieve the bhakti. So, we will see how this goes on. And before we start our session, let's start off with Mangalacharan. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjala Chalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Spapadatikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopeshu Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Taptakanta Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamani Hari Priye Vancha Kalpadarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vatsadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So let's start. So today we are going to see the beginning of the Jnana Yoga, so which means that there is a lot of knowledge session, right? So let's hear what this is all about. Please pay attention because this is very heavy. Knowledge itself is very heavy. So this is going to get very technical for us. So it is called Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga, right? Nature, the enjoyer, and consciousness. Right? So what are they talking about? And who's the enjoyer? So all this we will start seeing. So as I started off the session, if bhakti is culmination, then why is jnana presented in the last 6, right? The entire Bhagavad Gita, as I said, is bhakti yoga. And the first 6 chapters tells us how to achieve the bhakti through work, right? Achieving bhakti through karma. That's why we see a lot of karma yoga, and Krishna consciousness and all that. The last 6 describe how to achieve it through knowledge, right? That is through jnana. And the middle 6 is bhakti itself directly. Also in the 12th chapter, Krishna explained how he personally delivers his devotees, right? So you can see the visuals behind where he personally comes and handles his devotees from birth and death, right? He's coming. So the last 6 is a lot of philosophical, I told, right? Technical knowledge. But you kids are already in college, school, high school, so it's going to be very easy for you. But generally, this is supposed to be technical knowledge. And it is required. Why? Because we need to have jnana, right? It's called vidya, for us to manage, our material world. So that is required. And how to get us out of the material world by staying in the material world, right? Because we are anyway in the material world. We do not have a direct flight immediately to catch and run away, right? So we have to be here and still be detached from the material world. So what happens? How does jnana help? Jnana helps us in assisting our detachment, right? So we have to be detached from Maya and get attached to Krishna. That's the goal, right? So this Maya is helping us to do so. So hence, when we use knowledge as the means to attain the devotion, it becomes part of bhakti. So we keep asking, right? Then why bhakti? Why karma? So when we're using particular knowledge to, take it towards bhakti, then that also becomes a part of bhakti. So that is a specialty. So we'll see a lot of technical terms here. As I said, Prakriti. Prakriti means nature. I think that word you'll be familiar with. Purusha means enjoyer, right? Enjoyer of what? Enjoyer of the nature, Prakriti. So the only Purusha, is Krishna. And everybody else, right? So that is why you see Purusha, they say husband, is because he is eventually becomes an enjoyer. But actually speaking, all of us are to be enjoyed, and the only Purusha is Krishna. And Kshetra means the body, Shariram, right? That is only Kshetra. And Kshetrajna is a knower of the body, right? Whoever knows the body, observer of the body. So who knows? So what's the difference? There are one thing that we know our body, right? That's what we think we know. So let's see what we know. So we know one body, but Krishna is the knower of all the bodies, right? Jnana means understanding what is this Kshetra and Kshetrajna. That is only Jnana. Right now, we're talking about understanding the body. How much of our body do we really understand? And observer in the body, right? So that's another thing. So let's observe, let's go through. You will understand, hopefully. Name, goal of knowledge, which is Paramatma. Right? So as usual, let's have our team now come. You can start reading from 13.1 and 2. These are the questions. Krishna, as usual, every topic starts with Arjuna asking. So Arjuna now starts asking very technical questions, so we'll get technical answers. So who's going to read today? Hare Krishna. You can raise your hand or you can unmute and start reading. Please go ahead. Who would like to read? Thank you, Ritu.
Arjuna said, "Oh my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, Purusha, and the field and the knower of the field, and of the knowledge and of the end of the knowledge." The blessed Lord then said, "This body, O son of Kundi, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field." Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Krishna, what is Prakriti, which is nature, right? And we saw that Purusha, that's a heading, right? The enjoyer. And the field, right? Field, the body, right? And the knower of the field. And of knowledge and the end of knowledge, right? He's got so many questions. And Krishna is saying that the body, right, is a field. The field is nothing but the body. And whoever knows this, right, he is known as a knower, right, of the body. So let's go ahead and see what is he saying. 13.3, Hare Krishna. Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarvakshetreshu bharata Kshetra kshetrajnayo jnanam yattajnanam atham mama. Hare Krishna. You can read.
Ocean of Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies, and to understand this body and its honor is called knowledge. That is my opinion.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. So he says, Bharata, you should understand, I am the knower of all bodies, right? So he's telling, Krishna is telling, so I know all the bodies. And to understand this body and its owner is called the knowledge, right? So that is what he's asking. What do you mean by name? To understand the body, right? So typically that is what he's talking about. So let's still dive in. So just to give an example, and like us, right? So this is our field, right? This is our area. So we know our field, right? Wherever our field is, wherever the agriculture, what kind of water is used, where the land is shallow, where the land is dry, we will know our level of field, right? So, he is a person, right? But if you take a king, for instance, he will know all the lands. He's the owner of all the land. Like that, our body alone, to an extent, we will know. But Krishna is a knower of all the bodies across, right? So that is what it is, said. If you see from 13.3, we will now go to 13.5. So you can go ahead and read the 13.5. Hare Krishna.
The knowledge of their field of activities and of the knower of the activities is described by various sages in various Vedic writings. It is especially presented in Vedanta Sutra without reasoning as to cause and effect. Bhagavad Gita 13.5. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Now this has become very technical. We'll be wondering, where will we get this knowledge, right? Where do we get the knowledge of the field of activity and of the knower of the activity? Where do we get all this, right? So he is very clearly saying that all this are in Vedic writings. You don't have to go and search. It is specially mentioned in Vedanta Sutra because it is all having the cause, right? Sarva Karana Karanam. So all these Vedas are not man-made, right? Because if they are man-made, they will be subject to the 4 defects, right? So, but whereas since it's written by Krishna, there is no possibility of it having any defects. So that is what he's saying. So these are the various platforms, right? We already saw this, right? If you see the bodily platform, right? So here, what are they talking about? Annamaya. Annamaya is a stage where you're only concerned about food, right? A classic level is very low-end animals, right? Only food, doesn't understand anything beyond that. Pranamaya, little above the animals, where you understand there is life, their life is important, reaction to life, and all that. Jnanam is manomaya, right? You're at the mind level here, right? So what is happening? So first one is the bodily level, right? Next is the mind level. Next one is little more, one level beats the other, right? That's higher. And jnana is knowledge, right? So you understand what needs to be done. And vinyanamaya. Vinyana is application of knowledge. So let me tell that all of us are at Jnanamaya. We at a mind level, Manomaya, we have already crossed, we are at intelligence level to understand I am not the body, I am the soul. Right? We read in the 2nd chapter. Now we are in the 13th chapter. How much are we able to take this to that level of practical application? So Vijnana Maya is practical application of whatever we have learned, right? So as I said, we all have navigated, from 2nd chapter to 13th chapter, so many days, right? So it's literally we are plus 11 days from then. But what is our level? If someone scolds us, still we feel upset, right? Still we are emotional. We don't feel, okay, I'm not the body, I'm the soul. They're just scolding the body. I'll get rid of it. No, right? We are still not that. So we need to have that. So above Vijnanamaya is Anandamaya, which means bliss, which means you're completely thinking of Krishna. So that is the speciality of Vijnanamaya. And above that is Anandamaya, because not only the destination is Krishna, but the journey is also Krishna, and that makes one very happy. So let's hear what is further said in 13.6 and 7. Hare Krishna.
The 5 great elements, false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, and the 10 desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms, and the convictions, all these are considered, in summary, to be the field of activities and its interactions.
So they're talking about 5 great elements, which means Panchabhuta we already saw, right? Bhumi, Apo, Nalo, Vayu, right? These are the 5. Kam Buddhir, that is false ego, intelligence, and unmanifested. We are talking about the 3 modes of material nature. Unmanifested is what is not appearing, right? So mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. What are the 10 senses? They are split into 2. 5 working senses and 5 knowledge acquiring senses. So let's start the 5 knowledge acquiring senses first. Vision, right? What we see, taste, smell, touch, right? So these 5 are the the knowledge acquiring senses. And what are the 5 working senses? Your hands, your leg, your excretional organs, reproductive organs, all these are going to come under the 5 working senses, right? So it's called Karmendriya and Jnanendriya. Karmendriya are the working senses, Jnanendriya are the knowledge acquiring senses. And also the 5 sense objects, right? Eyes sees, right? Object is seeing, the vision, right? Smell, sense of smell. So the vision. So these are the end things. So these are the 5 sense objects which are at the end. And over and above this, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, aggregate, life symptoms. Life symptom is a conscience. Conscience is a symptom of the soul, right? How do you say someone passed away when the body is there? It means the person is dead. It means the conscience has left the person, right? So that is why consciousness is a symptom of the soul. And then the life symptom, that is what we saw. And all are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interaction. So the entire thing, so it is just not the body, but everything put together is called the field, right? So let's see 13.8 and to 12, right? Lot of slokas. Hare Krishna. Amanitvam adambhitvam ahimsa shatir ajavam acharyopashanam saucham स्थैर्यम् आत्मवनिग्रहः इन्द्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम् अनहङ्कार एव च जन्म मृत्यु जरा व्याधि दुःखदोषानुदर्शनम् असक्तिरनभिष्वङ्गः पुत्रधारा गृहादिषु नित्यं च समचितत्वम् इष्टानिष्टोपशक्तिषु मयि चानन्ययोगेन भक्तिरव्यभिचारिणी विविक्ता देशसेवित्वम् अरतिर्ज्ञान संसदि अध्यात्माज्ञाननित्यत्वम् तत्त्वज्ञानार्थदर्शनम् एतज्ज्ञानम् इति प्रोक्तम् अज्ञानं यत् अतो अन्यते. Hare Krishna. So what are they talking about? You can read the one on the right, the meaning of this. Hare Krishna.
Humility, pride, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from the entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest, even-mindedness, amid pleasant and unpleasant, even constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the journal mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization, and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these I declare to be the knowledge, and besides this, whatever there may be as ignorance. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So he's saying a huge list, right? So let's see each one in detail, right? It's a long chapter. Okay, humility, amanitvam. So what does humility mean? It's not anxious to have satisfaction of being honored. See, if you see, humility, it's not just the English word of humility where I'm saying I'm down to her. It actually means that I need this honor, right? So we also have this Maslow's triangle. If anyone of you all are doing MBA, you all know that this is this self-actualization need, right? That satisfaction of someone to honor us is very important. So that particular need, you should not, go soft. That is humility, right? So that is called amanitvam, where even if someone doesn't appreciate you, it doesn't matter to you, right? You go on and it does not have any effect. Now, pridelessness, adambitvam. So what does pridelessness means, right? So basically the body has absolutely no reaction. You understand you are not the body. I told you, right? Second chapter. And you have absolutely no point, right? Someone shouts at us or scolds us, you just have no reaction. And non-violence is ahimsa. Unless, so ahimsa is of multiple types. So not only external ahimsa, though in Kali Yuga, you'll be punished only when you speak externally. But even if you think negatively inside, it is called ahimsa. Now, one more thing is there. If you do not give spiritual knowledge, why do we say spiritual knowledge? Is because your body needs whatever you're talking about, food, but the soul needs Krishna. If you don't give Krishna to the soul, you are actually doing ahimsa. You're doing the violence to Krishna, right? So that is called violence. So no, so that is one thing. And second thing is tolerance. Nantiu. Be practiced to bear insult and dishonor from others, right? So, and let me come back to ahimsa. It's also called killer of the soul if you do not give Krishna to the soul. So, such things are very important that you keep track of this, and you do not allow the soul to be killed, right? And tolerance is you be very patient, right? And as I said, practically there are two levels. One is we may still appear to be tolerant. Example, in college or school, if teacher is shouting, you don't shout back because you know the repercussion. But inside of us also there is something called lack of tolerance. Expression is one, but inside of us will be boiling. Yes or no? Outside we appear to be very tolerant, but inside, we will be burning up completely. So that is not tolerance. That is basically you get to a feeling, okay, this is my college, my teacher is only scolding, I'm okay with that. When you get into that state, it is the actual sense of tolerance. Simplicity is arjavam. You're so straightforward that you can go and tell a truth even to an enemy. Can someone give me an example of this? Thanks, Ritu. I just saw your message. Hare Krishna. Simplicity. So, who can be straight? Can you give me an example of someone who's so straightforward, who can disclose even to an enemy the truth? Anyone you know of? Don't tell me your family relatives name. I'm telling anyone in the Puranas, Itihasas, right? So if you know, keep typing and I'll come back to that. And meanwhile, I'll move to the next. Accepting a spiritual master, Acharya Upashanam. This is very essential, right? Because spiritual master is the one who's going to show us the route. As I say, always it is important to have anywhere a guide, whether it's you're studying school, college, right? You have a teacher, right? Likewise, you need for spiritual, because spiritual knowledge is not easy, right? But people actually think they can give free knowledge, right? Everyone, when it comes to spirituality, everybody jumps and concludes this is what it is, because they don't have the spiritual knowledge. I incidentally came across one person in the recent past where, someone asked for setting up the altar of the god. So, the person had this habit of serving sugar, which is good habit, but then they used to take it from the spoon, keep it for the god, and then, it's keep it closed. Again, take it from the same box and keep the box like a storage box before Krishna. So Krishna is not storage, Krishna is God. And, someone went to him and told, please don't do this. This is not the right way. And immediately, there, you see lack of simplicity, tolerance. He says, no, this is how I do. Okay, this is how you do. But that's not the correct way. So when you know the correct way, you have to change. So this person immediately said, this non-devotee immediately said, no, why do I call it non-devotee? Because Krishna calls so. It's not me. Krishna says anyone who does not follow Shastras. Immediately the person says, no. Because by Krishna. So how can it be man-made? So even if the person is in absolute ignorance, thinking that the Shastras are man-made, definitely the man whom you believe has made is more knowledgeable than you. But you strongly Hare Krishna. So let me screen share again. I think we lost on the net. Okay. So this is where you need to have. So I'm going back. Okay, I've got somebody to message. Okay. So an example of, the honesty, right? Simplicity is, Yudhishthira Maharaj. You see Yudhishthira, at no point in time you will see him telling lie, right? So these are the classic examples of simplicity. Now, next one is cleanliness. We saw already spiritual master, right? So what is, they say it is very important to accept a spiritual master. That is why evam parampara pratam, imam rajeshu vishu. So what are they telling? Evam parampara. It has to come in a parampara, which means that you need to have the spiritual master to follow the parampara concept, right? And so that is very important. And cleanliness, chaucham. Chaucham, not only external, but also internal. We also saw this in Ashtanga Yoga 6th chapter, right? External, niyama. Yama, niyama, right? So both external, internal cleanliness we were seeing. Steadiness is dhairyam, determined to make progress in spiritual life. Somebody wants to make progress, right? Steady. So that, sthiram, that steadiness should be there. Self-control is atma minigraha. Reject anything that is unfavorable to the spiritual advancement, right? Anything which comes doesn't matter, but only do things. That is called self-control. And renunciation of sense objects. Indriya arthenyu vairagyam, right? Not cater to unnecessary demands which actually force your body needs to be fed. That's why people play Narasimha Dev, because the body is required to be maintained for serving Krishna. But it should not be meant for just an enjoyment, right? I just need enjoyment, I want pleasure. No, that's not the idea. And next one is absence of false ego. Ahankaram means, fear. Ahankaram means you add an A before Sanskrit, it's opposite, right? Reject I am the body or mind. Accept that I am the Krishna's servant, right? because we are part and parcels of Krishna, and therefore we have to be accepting that at a mind level. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmanevan pashyati sarva bhuteshu chatmanam tadona vijugupshate. So everything around, right? We are a part and parcel of thing. Once we accept that everything around us, we will understand how we should run our life. Perception of evil, janma mrityu jara vyadi, dukkha donu na darchanam, right? Janma means birth, mrityu, you all know death, jara is old age, and vyadi. None of us like any of this, right? And regularly hearing about these from proper sources, very important, because this will actually, if you keep hearing, you will be automatically hating the material life and you will want to go to the spiritual life. The idea of material life is just like human life is like a blessing in disguise, right? We are blessed so that we can jump up the ladder. Attachment is asaktu. Be ready to sacrifice everything for Krishna. That is detachment. Now, prema is different from detachment, right? Now, you will immediately, the first thing which will come to your mind is, okay, then if I'm going to be detached, then am I not in love? I want to be detached. It's going to come later, from my family. So don't I love? Says, yes, love. Just imagine your mom, right? Says she loves you, which is, she says, hey, baby, I love you so much. Can you do this? I love you so much. Can you clean the room? I love you so much. Can you cook for me? I love you so much. Can you? Somebody is like shoving it down our throat, right? So difficult. Yes or no? Right? What they are telling is love. You finally tell, oh no, don't love me. Keep that love with you itself. This is breaking. Let me just hold. Is it clear now? Is it clear? If it's clear, you can type yes. So that is, can you hear me? Okay, I'll go slow. This is called detachment, and no attachment with no entanglement with wife, children, family, etc. Okay, I have to talk only, then if I type, you won't know. I'll just give 1 second. Okay, so I'll keep going. Wherever the voice is breaking, you just type, I'll keep the chat open, so so no entanglement with wife, children, family. Okay, thank you, Hare Krishna. So detachment means not lack of love. Detachment means you have love, but then you don't force someone. You'll have many parents who will tell that, I want you to become a doctor because I have not become a doctor. If you have not become a doctor, you should become a doctor. We get that feeling, right? Why are you making me? So these are things where what happens is there is an important to have a detachment, right? There is one stage, okay, fine. You should have love. There is nothing to do with, but many people think attachment and love are interconnected. No, you can't breathe through sleep. Actually, love means you have to give them freedom. Every time they use this word, I fell in love. You can't fall in love. You have to grow in love, right? They say they grow old together. Have you seen that? For married couple who are very old, they say they gracefully grew old. They don't say they fell in love and they fell down. No, right? So knowingly or unknowingly, we are using a lot of terms which actually are, it's like the body does not understand, but the soul understands. So if you try and fit it, you will understand clearly this. So no entanglement with spouse, children, that is wife, children, family, etc. Should practice if you can do it in the Krishna conscious way, which means the entire family should be practicing Krishna conscious way. But if you feel something, it's not about just family, but it's about the whole thing, which is going to be a showstopper, then it's better to not have such discussions at all with them. Even-mindedness, nityacha sama chittatvam, inoya nino opapatinu. Oh my God, Hare Krishna. Not elated or distressed at maintaining gain or loss, right? Whether there is gain or loss, you have absolutely no impact. You go on. And unbreakable is unalloyed devotional service. We already saw that. And unalloyed devotion starts Ananya Bhakti, engaging oneself in the 9 process of devotion. What are the 9 process? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Shravanam, right? Hearing. Kirtanam, singing, being a part of it, right? Because at least when you are thinking, you may get diverted. In Kirtan, you're doing it together, right? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Keep thinking of Krishna always, right? Hearing is first time, which is why Shravanam means every time. Krishna also in Bhagavad Gita says, Shrunu, Shrunu, listen to me. And Krishna is also an example of listening. Arjuna first starts with a question, but throughout the question, he is not speaking a word, he's listening. Entire first chapter, Krishna spoke only once, one verse, because he's listening, right? And then what is the next thing? First 3. Next one, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. The next 3, you all know, right? All the other things is Pada Sevanam is like Lakshmi Devi. Dasyam, like Sarveta relationship, like the Hanuman. And, you have friendship, Sakyam, our Arjuna, right? So you have this one. And Atma Nivedram, complete surrender, right? Bali Maharaj, who's a complete surrender on the thing, right? So Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, right? Vandanam is offering prayers, right? Offering prayers to Krishna. Archanam is, the prayer, the worship, you worship Krishna. So Archanam. Then, Dasyam, I already told, Sakyam, Pade Sevanam, and Atma Nivedanam. Finally, completely surrender. These are the 9 processes. You can follow any of the process, or you can follow all the processes, right? So Amrit Maharaj is an example of all. We saw the story of Amrit yesterday, day before. So that time he is following all the things. So let's read 13.3. Hare Krishna. Time for you to read again. Hare Krishna.
I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal. Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. He says, now I'm going to explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal, right? Brahman, the spirit, which is beginningless and it is subordinate to me. He's very clearly saying, see, Brahman is spirit, energy, right? It does not have a beginning, but it is subordinate to me. And what is this Brahman? He is going to explain now, beyond the Kaizen effect. So he is clearly going to bring in the knowable. What does all this mean? He will shortly bring it up. Hare Krishna. Sarvendriya guna bhasham Sarvendriya vivarjitam Asattam sarva brikchaiva Nirgunam guna bhoktracha. Hare Krishna.
The super soul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. He is unattached, although he is the mediator of all living beings. He transcends the mode of nature, and at the same time, he is the master of all modes of nature. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So the super soul, right, is the original source of all senses. It is very clearly telling the super soul is the original source of all senses, right? Which we know that. And he is without senses. He is nirguna. He is not affected. He is unattached. He maintains. But he does not go through karma and all that. He transcends. He's above the mode, right? Because he's a master of mode. That is why we have to take Krishna's power to get out of the modes. That's what they're clearly he's telling him. He's very clearly declaring that. So let's see what he's saying in 13.16. Hare Krishna.
Supreme truth exists both internally and externally, in the moving and non-moving. He is beyond the power of material senses to see or know. Although far, far away, he is also near to all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. He's very clearly saying the supreme truth is both internal as well as external, right? We already saw internal energy, Krishna, external. 7.4 and 5 spoke, 4 spoke external, 5 spoke about internal energy, right? So which means both in matter as well as in life. In moving, we are seeing moving and Chara Akshara, whatever is moving and whatever it's not moving, right? Is beyond the power of material senses, beyond we can comprehend, right? Although far, far away is also near, right? So this is so beautifully said in Ishopanishad. It says like this: Tane jati, tanne jati, tad dure, tad vanshike, tadantarasya sarvasya, tadu sarvasaya bhayatah. So it's a beautiful mantra which says that he is far away yet near, right? He is outside and he is inside. He is in Goloka Vrindavan as well as he is right here, right? So such combination which apparently appears as contradiction, but these are wonders, right? So they are not contradiction, but they are wonders. So it's the same thing in the next thing, but I just wanted to see the picture, how it is, right? He's outside. This is the story of Parikshit Maharaj, right? So what happens is Krishna is very much available as Krishna outside. At the same time, when Parikshit, this Ashwatthama sent the Brahmastram to destroy Parikshit, who was the last in the family line of Arjuna, right? Of the Pandavas. Immediately, what happens? Krishna goes inside, and Paramatma is very small. He's the size of the thumb, but he is there. Immediately gives life and fights for the child, right? And why is he called Parikshit? Because Parikshit means examination. The baby remembers seeing a thumb size, small, cute, lovely face. And after coming out, he's searching, he's examining continuously. Who's this person? Who's this person? Who's this person? Because when Parikshit is actually born, Krishna by then leaves to Dwaraka, right? And therefore, he never has a chance to see, right? Krishna immediately. So he keeps on examining throughout to see who this person is. That is a speciality. So let's move to 13.18.
He is the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge. He is the object of knowledge, and he is the God of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart.
So he's saying, right? So let's see Krishna. What is this? He's the source of all luminous objects. Can you see in the picture? Suddenly Krishna has appeared. Yes. And he's beyond the darkness, right? That is a special. He's unmanifested, right? What you can't see, unmanifested. He's the knowledge, as well as the object of knowledge. See, everything is Krishna, right? What you see, object of knowledge, that is also Krishna. He is the goal of knowledge, right? So goal, finally, the boy, that is also Krishna. He is situated in everybody's heart. So he is situated in the heart of the child too, right? So that is the speciality of Krishna. So that object of knowledge, goal, source, everything is Krishna. Sarva Karana Karma. That is what he is saying. And 13.19, you can read more. Hare Krishna.
Thus, the field of activities, the body, knowledge, and the noble have been summarily described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain to my nature. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So he says, thus I have explained clearly the activities, the body, knowledge, knowable, right? So I've given everything. So summarily describe means obviously can't describe in detail, because if you have to, he has to explain, then I told no, 18 days is not sufficient. 1 year also is not sufficient. So much time we need. So he's talking about himself, everything in brief, right? Who can understand this? Not even Devatas, only devotees, unalloyed devotees can understand. That's why what we feel is apparent contradiction, because we want to put Krishna and lock him in our mind. Our understanding is limited. So we want to lock him, and we feel that everybody's understanding is also limited. We want to position that. No. Krishna is so huge, right? We are Anu and Krishna is Vibhu. We are the atom, right? Minute atom, but he is so huge. So that is the difference. And let's see what he says in 13.20. Hare Krishna.
Material nature and living entities should be understood to be beginningless. And the modes of matter are products of material nature.
Hare Krishna. So he says material nature, living entities, right? What is material nature is external energy. Living entities are the Jivatma, is internal energy, right? Tada Shakti should be understood to be beginningless, right? All this does not have a beginning, because our soul is also eternal, right? And we already saw soul is 1 by 10,000 or the tip of the hair. And it cannot be slayed, cannot be burned, withered, moistened, right? It's eternal. The transformation and the modes of matter are product of material nature. How they get transformed, right? There are 84 lakh species. How they get transferred is a natural thing, right? Animal life do not have karma, right? They go through natural evolution. However, cow, you talk about relating to mode of passion. Snake is mode of ignorance, right? A tiger is mode of passion, right? Cow is mode of goodness, sorry. Right? So this is what is this. So if someone is at a sattvic good, after the mode of cow, somebody will move into, in his previous janma, if he was an animal, he would have been a cow. So let's see what he says here in 13.21. Hare Krishna.
Nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and effects, whereas the living entity is the cause of various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Yeah. So कार्यकारणकर्तृत्वा हेतुः प्रकृतिरुच्यते पुरुषः सुखदुःखानां भोक्तृत्वा हेतुरुच्यते. Nature, right? He's saying nature is the cause of all the activities and effects, right? We already saw why Krishna, Arjuna asked, right? What is happening? What is controlling? Is there anything which is controlling? Even if someone does not want to do, what is forcing them to do lust? What is this desire? Why? Because of the modes of nature. Modes of nature are external energy of Krishna. They are Maya Devi, right? They are forcing him to do. So he's saying nature is said to be the cause of all the material activity and the effects, whereas the living entity is the cause of the suffering, right? Nature is causing all the issues, but the who's taking the hit of that? Because of that, living entities are suffering and enjoyment. Both the suffering and enjoyment are coming to the living entities, and the cause and effect is taken care by the material activities, right? By the nature. So he's talking about what is nature and what is the impact on the living entity. The nature causes some things. It's just like cause effect, right? You do something, every action equal opposite reaction. It's nature. But who's taking the hit or who's taking the enjoyment? We are taking the enjoyment. So let's see 13.22. Hare Krishna. Purushaha prakritisto hi bhunte prakriti jan gunan karanam guna sangosha sadasad janmasu. Hare Krishna.
The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil amongst various species.
Hare Krishna. So he says the living entity in this nature, right? He follows a particular way of life. Because of the three modes, he wants to enjoy, he wants to relish all this. Why is it happening? Because he's associated. See, basically, we are all spirit souls. So we are very pure. Then why are we getting contaminated? Because we are in touch with the material nature. Immediately we get contaminated. So he meets both. Yes. So what happened? The living entity thus follows a particular life based on the three modes of nature, right? So therefore, what we should do, we will be, all these 34 lakh species are there. This is all because of the association, right? The moment we come in contact with the material nature, we get completely influenced and evil takes. So let's see what 13.23 says, right? Hare Krishna. Uprashtanumantacha bhakta bhokta maheshwarah paramatmeti chapyakto desmin purusha parah. Hare Krishna.
Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and the permitter, and who is known as the super soul.
Thank you. So he says, yet in the body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer who is the Lord, right? It's just not us. We were speaking so long about the Brahman, which is the soul. Now we're going to see Para Brahman, which is the super soul, right? He's the supreme proprietor. We saw this, right? Isha Vasha principle. Isha Vashamidam Sarvam Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Taktena Bunjitha Magridah Kashyas Viddanam. Right? So who exists as the overseer and permitter, right? He's seeing and permitting. He is not a dictator. Therefore, he only sees and permits. He gives you sanction based on whatever credit is available. What you have to do with that is your choice, right? He's just going to oversee, right? And let's hear what Krishna is saying in 13.24. Hare Krishna.
One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So he says one who understands this philosophy about the material nature, living entity, interacting with the various modes, surely they'll reach liberation. Nothing to worry about them. He need not take birth again and again, right? Permanent, right? Because he can understand so much, right? What more he will need? Because he is taking control of the mode of nature with the help of Krishna, right? So what does it say in 25? You can see what 25 says. Hare Krishna. 13.25 you can read. It talks about who can perceive and how they can perceive. So you can go ahead and read. Yeah. The super soul is perceived by some through meditation, by some through cultivation of knowledge. Who's doing meditation? We saw Ashtanga Yoga, right? All these mantra siddhis. And cultivation of knowledge, Siddhi Yoga, Jnana Yoga, right? And by others through working, Karma Yoga. So Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, all three are the ones who can perceive super soul differently. But Bhakti Yoga is a culmination of all three. It is saman bonam, which means it's an addition of all this into your head, right? So if someone has bhakti, automatically all this will come into you. So we already saw this picture is Kapila, and it is explained in third canto Srimad Bhagavatam, where he is explaining to Devahuti, his mother. What does he say? You can read. Hare Krishna in 13.26.
Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So very clearly saying there are some people who are not having this spiritual knowledge. He says no problem, right? But they begin to worship the Supreme Person by hearing, Shrunu. We saw no Shravanam, right? So very important is to hear. So he says by hearing from others, because of their tendency to hear from the authority. Though Kapila is his son, Kapila is none but the incarnation of Krishna. That authority is important. Because of that tendency, they also come out of this birth and death. So that is how they cross over the ocean. So Krishna is coming and personally delivering it to them, right? So it doesn't matter. So which knowledge you have, what is important is whether you're following the authority. Bhagavad Gita very clearly in the 4th chapter it says, right? Tad vidhi pradipratena praniprashena sevaya, right? Upayante te jnanam jnanita vartrisha. So what is he saying? Tadvidhi pranipratena. You know, the knowledge, right? You have to learn from a prescribed authority, spiritual master. Pradiprastena sevaya. Humbly ask questions, and that is how you'll be liberated, right? He clearly says. So let's hear from Krishna what he says in 13.27.
O chief of Paragas, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and non-moving, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field.
So we saw, right? Shara, Akshara, right? Whatever moving you see, whatever is not moving, right, is nothing but the combination of whatever we read so far, right? So he very clearly says, look at the way in which Krishna is appreciating, right? Bharata, oh, chief of Bharatas, right? So every time, though he is answering, he doesn't tell how do we normally tell or how do we tell, how are we told? Hey, Buddhu, you don't know this also, huh? Idiot, you're. All this we tell, no, we also get heard. We also hear these words. But look at the way Krishna is explaining to him, but still he keeps him in high esteem. He says, oh, chief of Bharata. And he is not falsely telling. He really means it, right? So that's a speciality of Krishna. So next, okay, 13.28. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtam parameshwaram vinashyat svat vinasyantam yaha pashyati sa pashyati. Hare Krishna.
One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul is ever destroyed, actually sees.
So he says one who can see the super soul accompanying the individual soul. It's like two birds, right? Two birds where the individual soul is just doing its own activity, eating, doing whatever, but the super soul is constantly watching. And one who can understand this concept of both individual soul and the super soul is always accompanying. Who understands this, neither the soul nor is ever destroyed, actually sees what, right? He is the one who's successful because he understands both are eternal, both cannot be destroyed, and both the soul is always accompanied by super soul, right? So you can see this one is called, we already saw, right? Sitadir Muni, Veera, Mahatma, Uttamadhikari, all of them see everybody equal, right? So such a person is very rare. So that is what he's going to talk about in the next sloka, 13.29. Hare Krishna. You can read now. Hare Krishna.
One who sees the super soul equally present everywhere, in every living being, does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus he approaches the transcendental destination.
Hare Krishna. So he says that one who sees super soul in everything, right? No matter what, such a person will never come down because he understands everybody are equal, right? He never comes down in the destination. Such a person is very pure. That's what Krishna is telling, right? He'll never come down, that he approaches the transcendental destination, that he will reach the final destination. And let's hear 13.30, what Krishna is saying. You can read.
One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is creator of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually.
Yeah, so what is he saying? One understands that all the activities, whatever, this body itself is a material thing, right? We saw Bhumi, Apo, Nalo, Vyadi, Vayu, sorry. So it's all basically 5 material manifestations, right? So with this is created by whom? By the material nature. So he very genuinely feels that self does nothing. Whatever he's going to do, walk, sleep, eat, sleep, everything, he knows it's all material nature, right? He will just do it as an action. He knows that he's just like a driver, you see. The driver is a soul who's inside, and this body is just a vehicle. So beautiful, if you can see, the body is wired, right? It's just a vehicle carrying, and the soul is sitting in. Actually, it's eternal. Nothing can happen to the soul. That's what it says. And 13.33.
The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, those situated in that body.
Hare Krishna. So very clearly, though there is this horizon, right, this line which joins the water, the sky doesn't actually mix. So is the air. So, it doesn't mix by itself, right? It goes through everything. Similarly, the soul, which is there, right? It's Brahman vision. Why? Because it cannot be slayed. We already saw the qualities of the soul. It does not mix with the body. Though it is staying inside, it stays separate, right? So that is what he is, clearly mentioned. So let's hear what 13.34 Krishna still has to say to Arjuna. Hare Krishna.
O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So he said, oh son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates, right? Sun is the only one which is illuminating the entire universe. So does the living entity, right? Living entity within the body illuminates entire body. Why? How? Because the body is so special and it is illuminated by the living entity. And it is that is the one which illuminates. How is it illuminated? Consciousness, right? Like the sun illuminating the entire world, consciousness illuminates entire body, because the consciousness is a presence of the soul, right? It's a symptom of the soul. So that is what. So we are now coming to the last shloka of the 13th chapter. Hare Krishna.
One who knowingly sees this difference between the body and the honor of the body and can understand the process of liberation from this bondage also attains to the supreme goal. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So very clearly, one who sees the difference between the body and the owner, right? The body is physical, right? It is gifted to satisfy our senses. One of the bodies are given, just like the vehicle. But the owner of the body, right, is different. The soul is different. Super soul is different. Whoever understands this gets liberated from the bondage. So that one person only attains the supreme goal. So clearly, Krishna is telling how you can reach the supreme goal. So what happens? Arjuna's 6 questions are 13.1. Etad veditum ichchami, right? He's asking 6 questions. And later, description of Kshetra, Kshetrajna, 13.2 to 7, Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi. Right? Krishna starts explaining what is Kshetra, right? Which is the body or the field. Kshetra is the knowledge of that, and Jnana is a knowledge knowing the above two, right? He very clearly. And what does he explain? He says What is the knowledge? Krishna, we know only about our body, but Krishna knows about everything, right? Process of acquiring knowledge, 13.8 to 12. Mai Chananya Yogena, right? So how can you acquire knowledge? So he's clearly saying, Neyam, right? Object of knowledge, 13.13 19. Sarvataha Pani Padam Tat, right? So he very clearly says what is the object of knowledge, how you can achieve, right? Neyam, that is how you can achieve, is what he's clearly saying, object. Prakriti is a material nature, automatically causing and influencing the soul which has come. And Purusha, we saw Krishna is the only enjoyer, right? Remember, Prakriti is Maya Devi. She's made this mode of goodness, mode of ignorance, and in between mode of passion. Why? For us to enjoy. That is what we perceive when we enjoy. But this is all given because we wanted to enjoy this material body, which will suit us, is given. However, we have to maintain that. And Purusha is a permanent enjoyer. Union, right? How all this join together and how they have an impact. Karanam Guna Sangosha. And vision of knowledge, 13.27 to 35. Kshetra Kshetrajnayor Evam. Anantaram Jnana Chakshushu. So vision of knowledge, Chakshushu means eyes to see. Jnana is knowledge, right? So how can you see? With the vision of knowledge, if you see, seer. So basically, person who sees all this will be able to reach the supreme goal. So this is what it is. So this brings us to the end of the 13th chapter. And one request, which I'm going to give you a presentation tomorrow, day after, is please enroll yourself to level 2. There we will do in detail 18 days, only weekends we will have. Right. So with this, I'll end this session. And before that, I just want few points which I want to tell. Level 2 will only be on weekends, Saturday, Sunday, only 1 hour. And level 2 will be elaborately, we'll be doing Bhagavad Gita. So continue the association. And I just want to, end. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna. Please go ahead and ask questions if you have any questions.
Hare Krishna, I have a doubt. Can I ask?
Yeah, please go ahead, Ma.
So I said in that verse, I don't know Sanskrit, so I can't specify which verse. It is said that the knower of the body and the body is completely different. And who is the knower of the body? The soul or the super soul?
Both. So you're right. So the knower of the body, we are the knower of only our body. Both are knowers. Soul also knows, super soul. How? What body you know? You will maximum know about your body, right? Can you know about my body? Or can you talk about Rekha's body? No, right? So your knowledge is limited to knowing only your body, right? Whereas Krishna's knowledge is he is knower of all body. The example given here, I'll tell you. You have a small field, right? And if you're a farmer, you will know in and out of the field, right? You know this is farming. This particular area needs attention. You need water. There's so much of water here. Therefore, I need to make sure that there's not excess water flow. All this you know about your field. But the king may not be directly, but through people, but will know the entire field because he's the owner of all the fields put together, right? The king is a representative of God. Like that, we will know only our body. But Krishna, super soul, is a knower of all the bodies. That is the difference. Did I clarify?
Yes, I also have one more doubt.
Sure, go ahead.
You said, right, it's like a tree. In a tree, two birds are sitting, the soul is eating the fruits of activities and the super soul is watching. In which Sanskrit verse as it's stated, can you specify, please?
With Sanskrit, no, this is not in this chapter. It will come earlier where if you read the purport, you need not get into the verse. So this is not in the verse, it is in the purport. The explanation of the verse is given with an example. Just like now what I told you, the king, it is there in the purport when you read the 13th chapter. Same way the soul and super souls are actually given in many examples there, where they say is there are two birds watching. When you read Bhagavad Gita, you'll remember this when it comes across. And what they say is there are two birds watching. One bird is watching and doing all the activity, which is us, right? And that bird is not even watching Krishna. He's keeping his face away from Krishna and continuously doing the activities like the way we are doing. And the super soul is constantly watching, right? This is not in the verse. I understand you don't need to know Sanskrit, but the purport has this explanation, and that explanation, if you buy the Bhagavad Gita as it is in English, it is explained there.
Which chapter?
Second chapter also you'll have. This chapter you may or may not have. Second chapter has.
Okay.
And this chapter, you have the first one, whatever you asked, right? The field of the activity. In fact, it's there in the picture. Just hold on, I'll show you. Can you see my screen? The screen is, I'm
Yes.
fast, but are you able to see the screen?
Yes.
One second. I'm just showing the field. Can you see this is a field, right? So this one will come in this verse. Right? 13.3, you will see that there is big field. Your answers this. So it's in the 13th chapter. Hare Krishna. Any other doubts? But read Bhagavad Gita from the beginning till the end. Don't pick only that purport and read. You'll be able to follow better. Do you have any other doubts? Hare Krishna. Can you hear my voice? Okay.
Yes.
Anyone has any doubts, you all can raise. Otherwise, we can end the meeting. Yeah. So, and before we go, today, 13th day. So, how many times you will chant? So, you keep telling the number and then I will do this ending prayer. Vancha kalpata rupyasya kripa sindhubhya evacha paritangama pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Ritu. So today, who's going to chant 78 times? Is it Anjali or Ritu or Rekha? Who's going to do the chanting? Yes, Ritu. Please go ahead. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. Please go ahead and chant.